Of Poverty. Point, Chapter 1. A Civilization Out of Time. Any place commonly associated with ancient engineering, but in the quiet river terraces of what is now northeastern Louisiana. This place, known today as Poverty Point, is one of the most profound archaeological mysteries in the world. And yet, it is astonishingly under-recognized. Its sheer age, its scale, and its impossible brilliance make it as shocking as anything built in the ancient world. Because Poverty Point was constructed 3,500 years ago, during a time when most archaeologists long believed the people of North America lived in small, temporary camps, moving with the seasons in search of food. But Poverty Point shatters that narrative. What sits there today is a monumental landscape, a geometric masterpiece made entirely of earth. No stone pyramids, no carved temples, no towering statues, just soil. But soil manipulated with such purpose, such mathematical understanding, such massive effort, that it rivals the most impressive ancient constructions anywhere in the world. To understand its magnitude, imagine this: a society with no metal tools, no wheel, no beasts of burden, no written language, no agricultural fields to support armies of laborers, no centralized government we can identify. And yet, somehow, they built a construction complex bigger than the Great Pyramid of Giza by volume, moved basket by basket, handful by handful, over hundreds of years. That alone defies explanation. But Poverty Point is not just one mound or one structure. It is an entire designed landscape, a vast earthwork city, unlike anything else in the Western Hemisphere at the time. At the heart of it lies a set of 6 enormous concentric C-shaped ridges, each one stretching hundreds of meters across. These ridges, once several feet higher than they appear today, formed curved terraces that wrapped around a massive central plaza. The design resembles ripples spreading outward from a dropped stone. It is intentional, it is complex, and it required a level of planning that no one believed hunter-gatherer societies were capable of. And yet, the people of Poverty Point engineered it. The ridges were not random. They were living spaces. Archaeologists have found evidence of houses built along these arcs, circular dwellings arranged with geometric consistency. This means the ridges functioned like ancient city blocks. Families lived here. Children played here. Craftspeople shaped stone here. Fires crackled. Stories were shared. Rituals were performed. In the center of the ridges stretches an enormous open plaza, perfectly flat, perfectly level, covering an area larger than 20 football fields. This plaza may have been a ceremonial stage, a place for gatherings, dances, trade events, or rituals whose meaning is now lost to time. But the most breathtaking feature stands beyond the ridges. Mound A, also known as the Bird Mound. This colossal earthen platform is shaped, depending on who you ask, like a raptor in flight, or a falcon, or an owl spreading its wings across the earth. The mound rises nearly 70 feet high, and its footprint stretches more than 700 feet. If you climbed it in the year 1500 BCE, it would have dominated the landscape, a massive looming symbol of power or spirituality, or perhaps something even more profound. Here's the mystery. Mound A appears to have been built incredibly quickly. Not centuries, not decades, not even years. Some soil studies suggest it may have been constructed in as little as 90 days. Try to imagine what that means. Thousands of workers, tens of thousands of baskets of earth, a coordinated vision, a plan. a purpose so important that an entire community, perhaps multiple communities, came together to build the impossible. Yet the people of Poverty Point left behind no evidence of kings or chiefs, no palaces, no ruling elite, no symbols of centralized power. This is not Egypt. This is not Mesopotamia. This is not the world where monuments exist to glorify rulers. So why did they build it? Some researchers believe Poverty Point was a ceremonial pilgrimage center, a gathering place for people from far across the continent. Others believe it was the capital of a regionally important society, a hub of culture, trade, and innovation. Still others suspect it served both functions, part city, part temple, part meeting ground for distant groups. Whatever the purpose, the people who lived here were connected. They built using materials imported from as far away as the Appalachian Mountains, the Ozarks, the Upper Midwest, the Tennessee River Valley, the Great Lakes region, the Ouachita Mountains. At Poverty Point, archaeologists have found soapstone bowls from Georgia, flint from Ohio, copper from the Upper Great Lakes, quartz crystals from Arkansas, red jasper from far to the east, galena from Missouri. Some of these materials traveled over 1,000 miles. This alone is revolutionary. It means that the Poverty Point culture participated in, or led, a trade network spanning nearly a third of North America. This was not an isolated community. This was a hub, a crossroads, a place where ideas, objects, and beliefs were exchanged. But despite its sophistication, the builders of Poverty Point remained largely anonymous. They did not leave written records. They did not carve their names into stone. They did not bury rulers in lavish mounds with gold, jewelry, and carved masks. Archaeologists have found almost no human remains at Poverty Point, a clue that burial customs, either elsewhere or in a different form, was central to their identity. They are a people without a name, known only through the earth they shaped. And then, suddenly, around 1100 BCE, the site was abandoned, not violently, not burned, not destroyed, simply left behind. One day, the ridges were full of life. The next, the city faded. Children stopped running across the plaza. Fires burned low and went dark. The Great Bird Mound stood alone against the sky. The trade routes fell silent. Why did they leave? Some believe climate change shifted seasonal patterns. Others point to a change in the river's flooding cycles. Still others suspect cultural evolution. The center simply lost its purpose. There may have been a religious transformation, a new tradition that made Poverty Point obsolete. Or perhaps the people migrated west or east, carrying the memory of their monumental achievement with them into oral traditions now long forgotten. Whatever the reason, the departure remains one of the most haunting mysteries in North American archaeology. But the mystery does not end with abandonment. In the next chapter, we explore the engineering brilliance that makes Poverty Point one of the most astonishing achievements of ancient America, a triumph of logistics, ingenuity, and science that still puzzles researchers today. Chapter 2: The Engineering Marvel Beneath the Soil. If Chapter 1 introduces Poverty Point as a civilization out of time, then Chapter 2 exposes the most astonishing truth of all. The engineering behind Poverty Point is so advanced, so precisely executed, and so meticulously planned that it continues to challenge modern archaeologists. Because what lies beneath the soil is not random earth, not natural hills, not accidental formations, but intentional architecture shaped by hands that understood weight, stability, symmetry, alignment, geometry, and landscape modification at a level merely impossible for a non-agricultural society. To understand the genius of Poverty Point, we must start with what we can measure. Let's begin with the ridges, the iconic, six-layered, C-shaped arcs that define the site's core. These ridges were not thrown together. They are engineered features, built through careful layering. Soil cores taken from within these ridges revealed that they were constructed in segments of different soil types, arranged deliberately to maximize stability. Ancient builders selected specific clays and sediments, transporting them from various surrounding areas. They packed them in discrete lifts, layers laid horizontally, smoothed, tamped, and allowed to settle. This is the same method used by modern engineers to build stable embankments, levees, and platforms. But the Poverty Point people did it 3,500 years earlier, with only baskets and their hands. Each ridge, even after thousands of years of erosion, still stands between 2 and 6 feet above the surrounding terrain. Originally, they may have been nearly double that height. And each ridge is enormous, up to 70 feet wide, winding in sweeping curves for nearly 3/4 of a mile. In total, the ridges contain millions of cubic feet of earth. Yet what makes them extraordinary is not simply their size, but their purpose. Archaeologists have discovered remnants of post holes, hearths, and trash pits along these ridges, proof that they once supported homes, arranged neatly and consistently along the arc. This was a designed community. Every family lived on one of these elevated terraces, with clear views of the massive central plaza. It's as if the entire settlement was choreographed, houses placed along the curvature, paths arranged perpendicular to ridges, shared spaces linked seamlessly, communal areas placed deliberately. This is urban planning, long before urban planning was supposed to exist in North America. But the ridges are just the beginning. Next, let's examine the central plaza. Almost perfectly flat, the plaza covers roughly 37 acres, an area larger than 20 football fields. Soil analysis shows that natural microhills and undulations were leveled by hand. This was a monumental task. Leveling even a small modern field requires heavy machinery. The Poverty Point people did it with baskets and determination. Why level such a vast space? The plaza may have served as a ceremonial gathering ground, a performance arena, a trade fair marketplace, a ritual stage aligned with celestial events, a communal meeting place for regional tribes. Whatever the purpose, its scale indicates that the builders were coordinating activities for crowds numbering in the thousands. And this brings us to the single greatest engineering achievement at Poverty Point, Mound A, the Bird Mound. This massive earthen monument stands as one of the most jaw-dropping achievements in prehistoric North America. Let's break down the staggering engineering involved. Height, 60 feet. Base width, 640 feet. Length, 1,610 feet. Estimated volume, approximately 238,000 cubic meters of earth. Construction speed, possibly as fast as 30,090 days. To put this in perspective, Mound A required moving the equivalent of a modern stadium's worth of earth, without metal tools, without wheels, without draft animals. And the mound's iconic shape is no accident. From aerial imagery and LiDAR scans, the structure resembles a giant bird with wings spread wide. The wings extend symmetrically, the body rises at the center, and the head projects westward. This is intentional symbolism, a message in the landscape. But the most shocking part is how fast it was built. Core samples reveal no soil horizons, no layers that indicate the passage of seasons or years. Instead, The soils are compacted in a nearly continuous fill sequence. This means the mound was built rapidly, with no signs of long pauses. To build this mound in under 3 months would require thousands of people working in coordinated teams. Imagine the scene. Hundreds of workers form long lines. Men, women, and possibly children pass baskets of soil forward in a non-stop chain. Leaders or ritual specialists direct the placement of each layer. Chants, songs, or rituals guide the labor. Smoke from cooking fires drifts across the ridges as workers rest and trade shifts. The community swells as groups from other regions arrive to participate. This is not primitive chaos. This is organized engineering, cultural, spiritual, and communal. But engineering at Poverty Point goes even deeper. The builders placed special kinds of soil within the mound to maintain stability. They understood that certain clays compact well, others drain water better, and others resist erosion. They layered soils accordingly. This kind of soil choice engineering wasn't rediscovered in modern civil engineering until the 20th century. Which raises a question: how did hunter-gatherers know how to do this? That question alone has sparked decades of debate. Some researchers argue that the Poverty Point people possessed advanced ecological knowledge built over generations of living closely with their environment. Others believe communal knowledge sharing allowed large groups to understand the behavior of soils and sediments intuitively. Whatever the explanation, Mound A is evidence of an engineering mindset rare in early antiquity. Now add this: Poverty Point includes more than a dozen additional mounds, some older than Mound A, some younger, some simple conical shapes, others platforms or stepped constructions. Each required careful layering and deliberate shaping. The builders knew what they were doing. But Poverty Point's engineering genius does not stop at architecture. It extends into astronomy. Across the site, researchers have found evidence that certain mounds in openings between ridges align with celestial events. For example, solstice sunrise points, equinox sunset alignments, lunar standstill cycles which occur only every 18.6 years. This implies that Poverty Point was not just a place for living or gathering. It was a cosmic instrument, a location tied to the movement of the heavens. In a world without telescopes, without written calendars, without metal tools, these people understood cycles of the sun, moon, and stars. How? By observing, by memorizing, by passing knowledge through ceremony and oral tradition, by embedding astronomical meaning into the architecture itself. The ridges and mounds may have functioned like giant markers, allowing people to track the changing of seasons. This was crucial for organizing large gatherings, predicting migratory patterns of animals, planning fishing cycles, scheduling long-distance trade events. In other words, the entire site may have been a seasonal clock, a monumental calendar used to guide life. And then there is the mystery of material sourcing. At Poverty Point, archaeologists have found 6-sided carved objects, beads of exotic stones, polished lapidary art, fired clay objects with complex geometric designs, figurines, decorated pebbles, grooved tools, shaped with precision, heating bowls engineered for thermal efficiency. Many of these items are made from rock types that do not exist for hundreds of miles in any direction. This means ancient peoples were traveling incredible distances or maintaining relationships with distant groups to acquire materials. Poverty Point must have been a central hub in an enormous trade network. And this is where the engineering becomes social, not just physical. To maintain such a wide trade sphere, the people of Poverty Point needed diplomatic relationships, shared rituals, mutual trust, safe travel routes. A consistent exchange system, ceremonial traditions that tied communities together. This is not the behavior of an isolated tribe. This is the behavior of a complex cultural network, coordinated across vast territory. Yet there's more. Poverty Point's engineering marvel is also its mystery. At the scale required to build and maintain it, there must have been ritual leaders, project coordinators, skilled engineers, artisans, labor organizers. But no palaces exist, no tombs exist, no written instructions, no personal monuments. Poverty Point is engineering without ego, monumentality without monarchy, achievement without attributed authorship. The question remains, what motivated thousands of people to build such a massive, coordinated, and precise complex? Spiritual belief, communal identity, seasonal ritual obligations, cosmological symbolism, regional alliances, fear of cosmic forces. No one knows. But one thing is clear. This was a civilization that expressed its knowledge through earth, not through writing, through landscape, not through stone, through collective action, not hierarchical command. And in that soil lies a silent sophistication so advanced that we are only now beginning to appreciate it. The engineering of Poverty Point is not just technical genius, it is cultural genius. In the next chapter, we leave the soil and step into the hearts and minds of its creators. Who were these people? What did they believe? What was life like on the ridges? And how did a society... Chapter 3. The People Without a Name. In the great story of Poverty Point, the mounds, ridges, and engineering marvels often draw the spotlight. But behind the millions of baskets of earth, behind the monumental architecture, behind the celestial alignments and the vast trade networks, were people. Human beings with families, beliefs, dreams, fears, and identities. People whose names we do not know. People whose languages have been lost to time. People whose daily lives left faint traces scattered across a landscape they shipped more than 3,000 years ago. In Chapter 3, we step away from the earthworks themselves. Instead, we enter the world of the men, women, and children who lived at Poverty Point, a world reconstructed from fragments, soil stains, tools, hearths, and patterns too subtle for the eye, but too powerful to ignore. The first question is simple. Who were the Poverty Point people? The answer is anything but simple. Archaeologists classify them as a late archaic hunter-gatherer culture, but that tells us very little. The term hunter-gatherer often conjures images of small, mobile bands moving from camp to camp, living in temporary shelters, surviving on roots and berries. But the Poverty Point people defy that stereotype completely. These were not scattered groups. These were not passive foragers. These were not simplistic societies. This was an organized, sophisticated community with a structured social rhythm. Let's begin with their homes. Across the ridges, archaeologists have uncovered circular patterns of post holes, the footprints of dwellings. These houses were likely built from wood, cane, and woven mats, with coverings made from hides or thatch. Their shapes appear consistent across the ridges, suggesting a shared architectural tradition. Some houses were small and intimate, perhaps sheltering a single family. Others may have housed extended relatives or served as communal structures. Imagine walking along the ridge 3,200 years ago, smoke rising from dozens of hearths, children playing with carved stones, tools clacking as artisans shape flint and jasper, women weaving nets for the river harvest, dogs barking, Yes, they had dogs, laughter drifting in the evening air. This was not a ceremonial center alone, it was a living place. And yet, despite this evidence of community life, one of the most striking things about Poverty Point is what is missing. There are no cemeteries, no mass graves, no burial mounds, no royal tombs, no personal monuments, no carved markers of ancestors. There is only a silence, a profound absence that sparks endless speculation. Where were the dead placed? Did they cremate their loved ones? Did they bury them far from the site? Did ritual specialists handle the dead in ways that leave almost no archaeological trace? We do not know. This lack of burial evidence contributes to a unique mystery. Poverty Point appears to have been a center of life, but not necessarily a full center of death. Now let's explore their economy, another puzzle that defies expectation. Because Poverty Point was not an agricultural society, it did not produce surplus crops. There were no fields of maize, no long lines of granaries, no storage pits packed with harvested food. Yet the population was large enough to support ambitious construction projects and vibrant trade networks. How is this possible? One theory suggests that the Poverty Point people lived in a resource-rich environment. The nearby waterways offered abundant fish, aquatic plants, migratory birds, and riverine resources. Forests provided nuts, berries, deer, small game, and fibrous plants for tools and weaving. Their foraging and fishing strategies were likely sophisticated, complex hunter-gatherers, rather than the simplistic image many people imagine. Another theory suggests seasonal gatherings. Groups from across the southeast may have traveled to Poverty Point at certain times of the year, drawn by ritual obligations, trade opportunities, or social alliances, swelling the population periodically. During these gatherings, the community may have planned construction projects, exchanged goods, arranged marriages, negotiated alliances, and performed ceremonies. These gatherings would have reinforced a shared identity, a cultural network with Poverty Point as its spiritual and social epicenter. This network is most clearly seen in the remarkable array of artifacts found at the site. The Poverty Point people created tools of stunning craftsmanship, finely chipped spear points, some as sharp as surgical blades, lapidary deeds carved from exotic stones, plummets, grooved stones used for fishing or ceremonial purposes. Yet clay cooking objects with intricate patterns, figurines whose meanings remain lost. Many of these items are made from materials that traveled hundreds of miles. This suggests not only trade, but symbolic value. A stone carried from the Appalachians to Louisiana was more than just a rock. It was a story, a connection, a piece of a shared world. Now let's turn to religion and cosmology, the least understood but perhaps most important aspect of Poverty Point life. Although there is no written record, the physical layout of Poverty Point implies deep spiritual and astronomical knowledge. The alignments of mounds with solstice sunrises, equinox sunsets, and lunar standstill cycles reveal a sacred understanding of the cosmos. The bird mound itself, massive, elevated, shaped with intention, may symbolize a spiritual being or a revered creature. Many indigenous traditions across North America regard birds as messengers between worlds, between earth and sky, between humans and spirits, between life and the afterlife. This symbolism hints that Poverty Point was likely a ritual landscape. The ridges may have supported houses, but the entire place may also have been a grand ceremonial amphitheater. The central plaza may have hosted ritual, dances, feasts, games, or astronomical observations. Mounds may have served as platforms for important ceremonies or community gatherings. But there is one more clue: the Poverty Point objects. or PPOs. These small, intentionally shaped clay balls were fired in hearths and used to cook food. Their shapes, biconical, cylindrical, melon-shaped, seem unnecessary for simple heating. Why so much variation in shape? Why so much care? Some researchers believe the shapes held symbolic meaning. Others think they reflect culinary traditions, with different shapes used for different cooking methods. Regardless of their purpose, the fact that these objects were crafted in large numbers suggests a culture deeply invested in ritualized cooking, feasting, or communal meals, practices that would strengthen social bonds and cultural identity. But for all their achievements, the Poverty Point people remain ghosts in the archaeological record. They left behind no portraits, no legends, no carved monuments telling their story. Their language is unknown, their names are forgotten, their myths are lost. And then, just as mysteriously as they appeared, they were gone. Around 1100 BCE, Poverty Point was abandoned. Not slowly, not over centuries, but abruptly. There is no evidence of fire or warfare. The ridges were not destroyed, the mounds were not defaced. Tools and artifacts were left behind, as if their owners simply walked away. Why? Some theories point to environmental changes. Shifts in river patterns, drought, or the disruption of food sources. Others suggest economic changes. Perhaps a vital trade route collapsed, or new cultural centers emerged elsewhere. Still others propose spiritual reasons, a cultural transformation that rendered Poverty Point's rituals obsolete. Whatever the cause, the abandonment is one of the most haunting aspects of the site. A city, a ceremonial center, a masterpiece, left to the wind. But its absence only adds to the mystery. In the next chapter, we examine the legacy of Poverty Point, its rediscovery, its global significance, and the questions that continue to echo across its silent ridges. Chapter 4: The Legacy and the Unanswered Questions. Poverty Point stands today as a monument not only to ingenuity, but to mystery. After centuries of silence, it re-emerged in the 19th and 20th centuries as archaeologists and local residents began to uncover traces of its monumental past. Yet even as scholars excavated the ridges, measured the mounds, and analyzed the soil, one question persisted. What does it all mean? The rediscovery of Poverty Point began modestly. Early settlers noticed unusual earthworks in northeast Louisiana. Some thought they were natural formations. Others believed they were remnants of plantations or military fortifications. By the late 1800s, scholars began systematic studies, documenting the vast ridges and the enormous central mounds. It quickly became clear this was no ordinary site. Its size and sophistication were unlike anything else in North America at that time. In 1952, Poverty Point received the recognition it had long deserved when it was officially declared a National Historic Landmark. But its significance extends far beyond the borders of Louisiana. In 2014, UNESCO designated Poverty Point as a World Heritage Site, recognizing it as an outstanding example of human creativity and ingenuity, a site that demonstrates early North Americans are capable of monumental urban planning long before conventional history imagined. Yet even with this recognition, Poverty Point remains largely a puzzle. And like the pyramids of Egypt or the UP's ziggurats of Mesopotamia, the site offers no inscriptions, no written records, no direct window into the lives of its people. Its builders are faceless, voiceless, yet their work continues to speak across millennia. One of the most fascinating aspects of Poverty Point is the contrast between its technological sophistication and its societal simplicity. These were not kings, priests, or rulers who commanded vast armies. There were no palaces, no rigid hierarchy, no elaborate political structure. Yet the people achieved what many later civilizations could not: coordinated large-scale engineering, built monumental architecture, created complex tools and art, and established extensive trade networks across North America. The question naturally arises: how did they organize themselves? Archaeologists have proposed several possibilities. Perhaps social cohesion was maintained through ritual and religion rather than coercion. Perhaps shared cultural values, oral traditions, and communal ceremonies provided the motivation for cooperation. Perhaps labor was organized seasonally, with families coming together during certain times of year to build, trade, and celebrate. Whatever the mechanism, the results were extraordinary. Millions of cubic meters of earth moved by hand, ridgelines precisely curved, mounds aligned with celestial events, tools crafted from stones hundreds of miles away. And all of this achieved without the wheel, without metal, and without written instruction. Yet, even as we admire the engineering and organizational skill, we are confronted by what we cannot know. Poverty Point challenges our assumptions about early North America. For centuries, archaeologists underestimated what hunter-gatherer societies were capable of, often relegating them to the status of primitive or simple. Poverty Point shatters this stereotype. It forces us to acknowledge that complexity is not always visible in the artifacts of daily life. It can be encoded in land forms, in the careful arrangement of homes, in monumental earthworks, and in patterns of trade that span continents. The legacy of Poverty Point also lies in the connections it fostered. Materials imported from distant regions, such as flint, copper, and soapstone, indicate an extensive network of exchange. Ideas, rituals, and knowledge likely traveled along these networks as well. Poverty Point was not just a place, it was a node of civilization, a hub where diverse groups converged, shared, and interacted. Left, T, T, T. It demonstrates that ancient North America was far from isolated. It was interconnected in ways we are only beginning to appreciate. And yet, the abandonment of Poverty Point around 1100 BCE adds a haunting dimension to its legacy. For reasons we do not fully understand, the site was left behind. No catastrophic event, no evidence of warfare, no climate disaster large enough to force a collapse has been conclusively identified. The people simply walked away, leaving behind a monument, city in silence. In its desertion lies a profound mystery, a civilization capable of incredible feats, yet ephemeral in its physical presence. This mystery raises enduring questions. The climate shifts make the area less hospitable. Did changes in trade networks or resources make the site less viable? Did social or spiritual changes render the center obsolete? Or was its abandonment part of a planned cycle, a ritualized end, or cultural migration? We do not know. And that uncertainty is part of what makes Poverty Point compelling. Unlike other ancient civilizations whose stories are etched in stone or papyrus, Poverty Point's story is whispered in the soil, in the ridges, in the contours of the mounds, and in the artifacts left behind. It is a narrative we must reconstruct with patience, imagination, and humility. In the modern era, Poverty Point has inspired both scholarship and public imagination. Archaeologists continue to excavate, analyze, and model its construction. Advanced techniques such as LiDAR scanning, soil analysis, and GIS mapping allow researchers to see the site as never before, to trace the arcs of ridges, the alignment of mounds, and even hypothesize the social structures that made it possible. Each new discovery deepens our appreciation for the sophistication and vision of the Poverty Point people. The site also serves as a bridge to contemporary Native American communities. Many indigenous groups recognize Poverty Point as part of a deep heritage, a reminder that North America's past is rich, complex, and continuous. Although the builders themselves may not have direct descendants, the legacy of skill, ingenuity, and connection endures. Poverty Point reminds us that the land has stories older than written history, and that the ingenuity of its early inhabitants is part of a living tradition. For the global audience, Poverty Point challenges our narratives about civilization itself. We often think of monumental architecture as the exclusive domain of kings, pharaohs, or emperors. We assume that large-scale construction requires rigid hierarchy, agriculture, and urban specialization. Poverty Point proves otherwise. It tells us that intelligence, cooperation, and ingenuity can manifest in forms invisible to traditional historical frameworks. It teaches that monumentality is not merely the product of domination. It can be the product of shared vision, ritual, and collective purpose. And yet, for all we know, so much of Poverty Point remains unexplored. The mounds have survived thousands of years. The ridges still trace their curves across the landscape, and the artifacts lie buried, waiting for careful hands to uncover them. Every soil sample, every flint tool, every alignment holds a clue, a whisper from the past that demands interpretation. Each discovery carries the potential to reshape what we know about early North America and its place in world history. In the end, the mystery of Poverty Point is both endearing and humbling. It is a reminder that human beings have always been capable of remarkable creativity, coordination, and vision, even in times and places where history assumes otherwise. It is a story of a people whose names we do not know, whose language is lost, but whose legacy continues to speak through earth, stone, and sky. Poverty Point is not just a historical site. It is a message across millennia, a testament to ingenuity, community, and the human spirit. It challenges us to look beyond conventional assumptions, to question what we know, and to recognize that history is often far richer and stranger than we imagine. As we stand on the ridges today, looking out over the ancient plaza and the massive bird mound, it is impossible not to feel awe. We may never know exactly why the people of Poverty Point built what they did, or why they eventually abandoned it. We may never hear their voices or understand their stories in full, but their earthworks endure, a silent symphony of human achievement. In the wind through the ridges, in the curve of the mounds, and in the alignment of earth to sky, Poverty Point continues to speak. And as long as we listen carefully, we may continue to uncover the brilliance, complexity, and humanity of the people without a name, the architects of one of the greatest mysteries of the ancient Americas.